From Beyond Marketing, it's the 20-Minute Call, a podcast about the dreamers, boundary pushers, rebels, and champions of the skydiving industry. Each episode is a narrative journey highlighted by the highs, lows, and luck that the skydiving industry delivers, as told by the most influential people within the sport. If you've ever dreamed of becoming a skydiver, perhaps opening a drop zone, or becoming the next world champion, check out the 20-Minute Call hosted by me, James LeBarry. My guest today is a true pioneer hailed as the father of Freefly. Olav Zipser, born in Simmern, Germany, began his skydiving career in 1986 and quickly revolutionized the sport, introducing non-traditional forms of body flight. In other words, departing the known world of flying on your belly to flying on multiple axes, namely on your head. His innovative approach led to the development of Freefly, a discipline that has transformed skydiving techniques and competitions worldwide. Since his first jump nearly 40 years ago, Olav founded multiple Freefly schools around the world to recruit others to Freefly Your Mind. Olav has trained 14 world champion skydivers, and he was instrumental in bringing Freefly to the FAI, making it an official category in competition. His achievements also include jumping from the stratosphere in 1995 from 47,000 feet, winning an Emmy Award for his performance in the X Games. He created the Space Games, invented the space ball, and has successfully survived more than 25,000 skydives in his career. In October of 2024, Olav was inducted into the International Skydiving Hall of Fame, where he was presented by a Freefly prodigy in his own right, Rook Nelson. Very impressive accomplishments, considering that Olav was on the path of becoming a dentist until he made a skydive in Texel, in the Netherlands, in the mid-'80s, where he learned to, as he describes, swim in the ocean of air. I'm honored to welcome Olav Zipser to the 20-Minute Call podcast. Hello, Olav.
Hello, James. Hello to everyone. Thank you for having me on your beautiful podcast. I remember us speaking last in Chicago, and I'm looking forward to the questions you will be asking me.
Olav, it's a honor, and since I first started skydiving in 2000, or my first jump in 2000, your name was always out there. I was a baby skydiver, but everyone knew who Olav Zipser was. And, on the rainy days at the drop zone, we'd be sitting there and we'd be watching videos, the chronicles or PD factory team videos. I mean, what you were doing in the sport was just so transformative. So yeah, it's an honor to have you.
Yeah, I remember those times. There was we had VHS tapes, and we were copying, sometimes borrowing other VHS tapes, master like the machines, to copy even more. Couldn't copy enough. It was terrible. It's easier now.
It is definitely easier now. Let's go back. Olav, you were raised in the middle of Germany, and as you've described, in a, quote, sheltered dentist family where you had to do whatever father and mama asked. Describe your childhood.
Okay, Papa and Mama came from East Germany, had the advantage to be escaping in different ways, whatever, and then started a family in West Germany, like me and my brother. Papa was a dentist and an adventurer. He kind of used, through our upbringing, every school vacation we possibly had as kids. Papa had a motorhome or a car with a trailer behind, and Mama had a car with the boat behind, or later on the motorhome and then the boat behind. We saw every school vacation it possible was per year. We saw all of Europe and had like the modern hippie life, like dentist money, kind of, not like super duper, but we never flew, we never had any hotels, we camped on the beach, in the forest, on the mountain. It was super duper adventurous.
What about your brother? What did he get into?
Kind of the same thing, once you're in a dentist family, I guess you become a dentist later on. He, in the end, is a doctor. He's a surgeon. Well, no, not a surgeon. He's a doctor in the ambulance car. Like a first aid doctor with just terrible accidents, things like that. Don't speak with him that much.
When you left the mold of what was sort of expected to be a dentist and living this sort of sheltered life, Olav, from everything I've seen about you, you're a free spirit. That level of structure doesn't seem to fit in your personality.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. When I discovered the skydiving, and I had it quite easy doing my AFF, I already thought like swimming through the ocean of gas, even if I didn't have those kind of words. Um, yeah, they did not like the career change idea, becoming a professional bum on the drop zone, while having a career in front of you, which Papa had and all the uncles had, and which was known in the family. That's how everyone did it. You become a dentist. Yeah, that didn't come across very well. But then I told them after maybe 10 years being a skydiver, I said, like, look, man, I already have 10 years of really cool time of my use in the pocket. That's not money you can lose. That's nothing you can spend. That's no one which can take that away. And you guys are bigger and older and fatter, and you have a nice yacht which you never go to, and I already and you lose that one day, and I made my life for me it was always very important to money is not important. The biggest commodity in life is the time you're living, and the thoughtfulness and mindfulness you present yourself during those TikToks time every second. And in skydiving, it's very easy to understand. If you can look in between the second, then you're in the fly chi mode. You're in the flow. You have no more seconds. You think faster than the seconds have taught you to think. Those are the moments when we're in the flow, I guess, or whatever people say when they have experienced such thing. In skydiving, I get that. For me, the 1 minute flight is endless long sometimes, and to a tandem guy, it maybe feels like incredibly short. So that means being in the flow, looking in between the second, and free fly is a fantastic way, being maximum mammalian accelerated by one gravity earth power. Fantastic. I don't know how to describe it. That's why I wrote a book, and I really try to describe it for many pages. It's cool. Everyone should try it.
Most people that are skydivers, they're into the speed, they're into the Mountain Dew commercials, right? And when you talk about skydiving, it's like a spiritual thing. It's a philosophy. It's more than exiting a plane and landing safely. You speak about skydiving very much in parallel to life and freedom, and it's as if you're enjoying skydiving differently than everybody else. Where does this philosophy come from a kid in the middle of Germany?
Well, maybe my papa, because my papa took his life in his hands. They escaped, and he did a cool life with all the adventures in Europe and the kids in the motorhome and all those things. I like that. That's became part of me. I'm a dreamer. The last barnstormer, and the last barn is the pineal gland. It's like your gland which makes you dream. The dream world, and you can be a space-time designer in the dream world, and then also there you have those time glitches. If in a dream you can dream maybe 5 minutes and it feels like many hours, or you can dream many hours and then it feels like many years. So you can experiment things if you are on the lucid dreaming idea branch awareness in the dream. You kind of can live multiple lives in a quick moment, sort of like have different petri dishes and experiment with different thought patterns in your dream and just quickly run through all this like a supercomputer. Anyhow, something like this, that's kind of how I think and how I try to write my book. It's a bit confusing, maybe. I like to discover myself, and myself has not only one voice. It started with one voice when I was a kid. I only had one voice, or maybe not a voice at all. Then you become a little grown up, then you discover all your other voices, the two sides of the coin. Eventually, you understand the coin actually has a rim as well. So that's where everything stays in balance. And if you spin the coin, it won't even topple over. So you have a perfect holographic view on your own personalities. And when you manage that with Freefly Your Mind idea, then you can be a space-time designer and just choose of what you want to do next. And for me, it was like, I want to develop human flight. I want to be the first humans who understands how to manipulate all the air around the human body at high speed, that human flight is possible, pure human flight. It's like swimming in the water. When you're sitting in a boat, it's hardly right to say, like, I'm swimming. No, you're sitting in the boat. But therefore, I argue that if we fly a plane, the pilot is not flying the plane, he's sitting in the plane. No one in the plane is flying. They're just sitting in the boat. You must jump out of the plane, into the water, into the ocean of gas, to immerse yourself, to have a sensory input from the environment around you. That's what makes the human machine so fantastic, I'm a biomechanical flex wing with an integrated human mind pilot. And I don't even need a keyboard or a joystick to steer myself. I'm the best flying machine ever because I can go fast, I can go backwards, I can go rotations, I can go high, I can fly in the night, I can fly with hundreds of people. Many of those things are better characteristics than any bird can do. We fly faster, higher, whatever. Bird can fly nice too. I like to fly like a bird as well.
If you're a DZO or DZM listening to this podcast and you're not using Burble, I've got a question. Why not? If the reason is price, what's the cost of your time? Other booking and manifest softwares are a one-size-fits-all. Burble was built from the ground up by a DZO for DZOs to maximize efficiency. Now, isn't that nice? There's no software that compares. Choose Burble. Burble. Olav, with everything you've just said, right? You express yourself with such passion. It's so sincerely from your heart.
It's my life, man. I started when I was 20, and I decided I go to Florida. I will learn this, and I will swim in the ocean of gas, even if I didn't say like that at that time. I felt it. It was super duper. It was a calling.
So my question though is, I love your philosophy, but when you are in skydiving circles and everybody's flying on their belly, and here comes this guy that not many people have heard of. He's you have this philosophy, this free spirit. Are you misunderstood? Do people think, man, this guy is this guy's out there?
Yes. Yeah, as I was, I'm skinny and a little normal tall, whatever. I'm not like a big boy man, with a bigger belly and a bigger, broader chest and thing like this. So at the time when I started skydiving in Zephyr Hills in the Phoenix Skydiving Club, when we had DC-3s there and everyone was in the big race, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there who could really do it, and I was the young one with 17 jumps, I think I turned up when I went there. But they had like those organized groups, and I quickly jumped from one group, 100 jumps, 200 jumps, 500 jumps groups, and I did not really understand the whole principle there. All I wanted to do is fly with people who at least get there. When they make a 10 way, then there should be 10. And Anyhow, so there was some confusing. Plus, they all flew faster than me on the belly. I had back pain by arching, and I liked the tracking. And sooner or later, I became friend with Jerry Bird, and I asked him, "Hey, I see you always sitting at the door, the beautiful DC-3 round door, and spotting for everyone and bringing them home safely. So I asked him one day, it's like, hey, can I sit next to you and can you maybe teach me of what you're doing and explain me of what you're looking for and how do you calculate the wind, the direction, the airspeed and the distance and the people in the plane and all those things, you know? Yeah, and he kind of, I guess he was fond of me, a little punk boy doing his thing, maybe like he did when he was younger, I don't know. Anyway, he let me sit there, and after many, many jumps, I sometimes said, like, hey, there's a big fat cloud over there. Jerry, let me jump right now. And I track to the cloud and fly next to the cloud, and it's mostly on the southern, eastern, or western side is where I then find my shadow in the cloud. Then there's a rainbow around the cloud, and then I chase that beast, the rainbow, down the cloud as best as I can. And Jerry was going like, yeah, okay, you can do that, you know. And then sometimes I jumped in between the go-arounds from one first and second pass, or in between the different groups. I just got to jump out and track to some fucking cloud which was far away and chased my rainbow. And by doing that, as the cloud is only sometimes close and sometimes further away in different angles, I learned how to get there, and that was how what Freefly became. All the manipulation around the human body, so you can actually create aerodynamical effects. The more aerodynamical effects you create, the more you can remember and use later on as a flying language. You know, that's what the aviation free flight program is all about. You know, manipulate the air around us in high and low pressure areas so we can at least gain all those opportunities which are possible other than just falling through the air. You know, and that became free flying. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing. And free flying came out of chasing your own curiosity as opposed to
And shadow.
doing whatever.
And shadow, like
And your
the
shadows.
pawn, man. I was like, I got to escape the shadow. I got to catch it too.
Let me read you this quote that you said,
Okay.
Olav. You said, because this discovery of free fly was really based on this very brave trip that you took where you left Europe in love with skydiving, barely any skydives, to go to Zephyr Hills, Florida. And this is a quote that you said many years ago. You said, I came from a very sheltered dentist family where I had to do whatever father and mama asked, as I said before, but then suddenly I was 20 and I was alone in Florida, deciding for the first time as a young man what my own life would be. I was completely shocked by what the skydiving world at that time was all about, and the whole world in general, maybe. There was a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was just like I'd seen it in the movies, and there I was, part of it. It was a very educational and maybe even probably a very dangerous time. You could jump without altimeters, without goggles. We had people not ending up very healthy, even dying every couple of weeks or so. It was a crazy time. It was the first and last thing I ever experienced of Woodstock, I think. Honestly, it was fantastic.
I liked it. It's true. It was wild, man. Imagine you come from a sheltered German family, can't speak much English, and then you're in this crazy skydiving world. And then also on the biggest place which the planet has to offer with like sort of Woodstock vibes, you know? Nutty people jumping out of planes and high on life at least, you know? It's amazing. Yeah, I liked it. And the contrast was fantastic. And I quickly became fond of it and found my niche, you know, as then people started asking me, it's like, Olaf, what are you doing? They see me jumping out in between of the groups in the DC3 and never understand of what am I doing all by myself. Then some ask me and I go like, well, fly to the cloud, chase my rainbow and all this. And then they ask, can I come? And I go, like, sure, you can come, you know, but it's unlikely that you find the rainbow right on your first flight because it takes some setup, some navigation, and some knowledge of where you even find it and then how to get there. And then some people followed me, like including Joan LeBlanc from PD and Ben Reynolds, some other friends at that time. Scotty Capone, I think the fat guy was he was so fat. Anyhow, he couldn't do it. He couldn't get to the cloud. However, yeah, and that became then the people started talking about it. You know, why the good flyers couldn't get to the rainbow. and I had a rainbow, and I flew with rainbows, and they couldn't get there, and then they started asking me, so teach me,
I imagine that started with tracking to the cloud, but at some point,
Not
you
always.
are.
Sometimes the cloud was just below the airplane.
But at some point, there is a change from tracking or, going towards the cloud or the rainbow on your belly to there's, a change where you're flying head down. Do you remember when that actually occurred, not just on the exit, but through the skydive?
Absolutely. The cloud is not always the same distance away from the airplane. It's sometimes really fast, and sometimes I didn't even make it there. I didn't catch a rainbow. I didn't catch my shadow. But then again, sometimes you get there early in the flight. So, of course, you don't fly to the other dark side of the cloud. You stay on the sunny side. That's where the rainbow and the shadow is. And then I learned of how to track steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper with barrel rolls and happiness in and out the cloud through the rainbow. Hee-haw! And that was nothing special. It was just different than flat tacking, right? But it was still rainbow chasing. In the end, I could fly in every direction with the rotations, and I had a concept of why that even is with the stable aerodynamics, unstable aerodynamics, and harmonic aerodynamics, which I describe in my book. Right? However, it's easy, Why is the shuttlecock falling always in one direction? That's the whole idea in my book. That's how I can explain everything a human flyer in a free fly mode will do, and what propeller he can be. He's the best yoga dragonfly, with an integrated human mind. It's incredible of what we could do. Look at the tunnel kids now,
So for those that are newer into the sport, when I first jumped in 2000,
Yes.
free flyers were the rebels. The belly flyers would call the free flyers lawn darts. At what point did you feel like you were starting to gain acceptance in the community? Not that it really mattered to you because you were doing your own thing, but when people started going, wow, this guy can fly. This is changing the game.
Right from the beginning, Jerry Bird saw myself being crazy, and wondered himself, what the fuck am I doing? But then one day he had a 40-way belly speed star, and it was called Sweet Spot in one of those competitions when 40 ways were competing against each other on the belly. Wow, those times were cool. And I asked Jerry for many years before, or 2 years before, I go, can I be part of your team? Of course I cannot be part of this team. I'm a little German boy, can't even speak English, have no experience, and he already has 40 friends which want to be in that world championship team, No, every year I hear it, But then 1 year I asked him again, and then he said, okay, man, you can come, but you cannot be part of the 40 people because my team is full like every year, But you can be the extra guy. I'll give you the super, super floater place. You can hang out with one hand, spend no space in the DC-3, wait until every fucking person is ready, and if you fall, that's your problem. And you hang out there and take no space, and then you let go, and you wait underneath the 40-way until we made 3-second world record star, and then you are allowed to fly on your back through the star up and do your loop-de-doops, whatever, free fly mode, whatever. And that's what we actually ended up doing. It was tough to hold on for so long as I had to climb out and then do the thing. Then I hovered underneath and then flew through the star. 40 people, I saw all their faces. 40 people saw my face coming through. They never saw that. Someone on his back with a big speed, having the 40-way basically passing me. I was slower, so they passed me. Then I did a couple loop-de-doos and I head down. I passed them again, super duper fast through the middle and then away. And after this, I had people from all around the world in this 40-way star talking about it and going back home and bringing the news about this free fly new thing, And that was in 1990. Yeah.
I recall seeing a tremendous video of you from a movie where you are free flying in and through a round 8-way. So it's just an 8-way round.
10-way. It was with the yellow suit, right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I only did that with a 10-way. So it must be a 10-way or 40-way or an 80-way.
What impressed me about that is this is pre-tunnel. And the free flying control that you have of, and if I can describe this, of you literally popping up and through this round formation, up and around everybody, and sort of just doing these circles in and around and carving around it. And the carving is so tight and in control, and you're exactly where you want to be. And what impressed me about this was really pre-wind tunnel, yet you have such good spatial awareness and control when there were few others to even fly with that had that level of skill. How were you able to develop that level of skill without sort of a mirror or a static something in free fall to be able to get that controllability?
Well, lots of trust from the flyers which I flew with. There was one close call, and I did this on 3 big occasions. And however, it is trust in the flyers. They were really good flyers. They're not wobbling around. They're not. They're making a perfect 10-way or 80-way Olympic rings, which we tried in Russia. I was jumping through the different rings, and we were supposed to do the opening ceremony for Sochi. Never happened. Anyway, we were training for 2 years, and it was similar, like you saw with the yellow suits with the 10-way star. Just more people. I know what I do. They know what they're doing. Why not fly around them? And show. The idea was at that time still to show that it's possible. Human flight is not just falling through the sky, because you can tell people and they still don't believe you. But if you show 10-way people not only flying through the star, but actually hovering in the middle, you probably saw that part too. I was hovering in the head down in the middle of the 10-way star and doing slow 360s. That was probably the hardest of all, flying through it with speed up and down and doing loop-de-doops. Okay, that was good aiming and probably a tiny little luck jumping the burble. But hovering in the middle, that was hardcore. That was really, really difficult. And the whole idea was, for me, was to showcase my style. And my style is not only maximum mammalian speed, crazy fast with one gravitational power zone, but also the same idea of flying style can be as fast or slow as a falling person. So the range was extended by almost double. And double means double power plus the extra from the air density getting more dense, not only by the speed, but I think it quadruples. Anyhow, when you fly super, super fast, you have much more air to deal with, and you can catapult yourself in every direction with every twist and rotation, like a belly flyer would never have the energy to do with.
Very few skydivers talk about skydiving the way you are right now. It's interesting. It's this mix between this philosophy and art and science. Like, I hear the technical, but I also hear the freedom. It's a very unique thing. Let's move forward. You're onto something. Everybody's starting to see it, and you start this team called the Freefly Clowns, which was iconic. And you had your teammates are well-known, established names in the sport today. So tell me about the evolution of how that started.
So I'm tandem master, AFF instructor, got my free fly idea, built my first bush plane and put it behind the motorhome and drive it from Florida to California. And in between, I check every drop zone and be the first time a barnstormer, basically. Fly my plane everywhere and jump. Then I end up in Skydance in California, and I'm doing some AFF and tandem and stuff like this, and explore the surrounding country with my bush plane, water plane. Then one day I meet this young guy, Mike Vale, and he just finished AFF. And he had long blonde hair, looked like a surfer boy sitting like Cali style on the back of the tailgate, popping a beer in the sunset. And I'm walking past him and I go, "Hey man, how was your AFF thing?" I know he was doing some AFF, right? And he goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I go like, "Yeah, give me a beer." And then I go like, what did you do on your last dump? And he goes like, "Man, I just finished AFF, so I did a track jump into the sunset towards the mountains." And I go, "Wow, man, that's exactly how I think. And then we became super friends even that night very quickly. And I started packing for him the next day because the dude didn't know how to pack, but he had a lot of money and he really wanted to, and he was the proper guy, he was becoming a friend. So we packed for him. We kind of made all the licensing for him and the next thing, and he was the super sports boy, understood my idea of free flying, and I had a new guy to teach it to, who could afford to do nothing other than flying, didn't have a job. Yeah, that became Free Fly Clown number 2. And we became world champion in 93 for the first time. And then after this, Free Fly Clown number 3 was Omar Al-Hejelan, a young sportsman with maybe 50 jumps under his belt. Met me in 94 maybe, in Florida, somewhere on some party, and said like he's a Saudi Arabian ambassador's son. He knows the Saudi Arabian sports government, and he proposed becoming a team member of mine or making a team with me, while he's being the money sponsor and I'm being the educational part, right? That was a lucrative deal, and we did that for another few. We started doing that for a couple of years, and we became the X Game Free Fly World Tour undefeated champion in every country, won other medals worldwide. And then there came Charles Bryan. Charles Bryan, the son of a super wealthy family in America, also with dreadlocks, long hair, the black sheep of the probably ran away for some time while he started skydiving. And that guy, he also asked me one day, he's like, can I be a serious student? And he booked like, I think 190 jumps. And I go like, why is 190 jumps? And he goes like, yeah, that's the kind of money cash I just have right now. And I go, okay, deal. Let's. And then he became super duper friend and had also lots of time. Everyone was rich and had time and was super sporty and had financial support from wherever reason, And that was great for me because I'm a poor skydiver, I started also with packing. Those guys didn't. Anyhow, so those became all the first free fly clowns, super talented because they put the time and money in the sport and caught up super quick. Then in the end became Stefania Martinengo, the Italian freestyle princess, became my girlfriend and probably very likely the best and first free fly girl in the world. And she helped me organize all this thing as boyfriend, girlfriend do. And I have to thank her a lot for doing all that. Anyhow, she became Free Fly Clown number 5. And after this, the thing became super big. I didn't have any free fly clowns anymore. I created a free fly circus, including Eric Fadet and the Sky Surfer, different nationalities. At that time, it became difficult to even be a team because we were all different nationalities. Anyhow, so free fly circus team members, we had multiple teams during the space games. I can't even count how many teams and team members we had doing all those mix up from different teams. But that was the point. Spread out the idea, make teams with different people all the time, and then you can compete twice. As long as you have in a 3-way team, you have 2 new team members, then you spread the love. You give more training to everyone, and you can compete twice in different competitions in the space games. We had super cool rules which everyone came up with all together, and we all loved it like that because it was the spirit, We had the spirit of winning, yes, but fair and cool and learning and all that in one big cocktail mix, not just winning the money. In the space games I'm talking about, or X Games even, yeah.
If you're a fan of the 20-Minute Call, I'd like to invite you to be a member of a budding community with me on Patreon. By becoming a patron of the show, you can join me behind the scenes to discuss options for future guests and gain access to some show swag. It's pretty sweet. Details on how to become a patron can be found in the show notes. Okay, back to the show. Tell me about the X Games, because that was such an exciting time for skydiving. Suddenly people outside of skydiving thought we were cool and wanted to put you and your friends on TV, on ESPN, of course.
Well, there were two X Games, right? The first X Games in '95 maybe was in Rhode Island, and there was no free fly yet. During that, there was just free sky surfing, and I put free fly sky surfing with Gaudencia Martinengo, which was the female world champion at the time, the sister of my girlfriend. Can you imagine? So with her, I made this team, Free Fly Diff, and then dot 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 motherfuckers basically, and it was to mix freestyle, free fly now with sky surfing, not just with only belly flying that we already shown, but now with sky surfing as well. Free fly around the sky surfer and film it that way. Norman Kent and all the other super duper camera flyers which were filming the other sky surfers, they couldn't do that at the time and didn't do that at the time. So that's where I won this Emmy, because I told those people I fly like almost twice as far than the sky surfer because I orbit always around in all different directions by making rotations so the person is in the center. And I film so smooth that when you show it later on in double speed, it won't shake. And I film it so exciting with so much movement that when you slow it down, it still will be exciting, and that's where I get my Emmy from. However,
There's many photographs of you free flying with your Emmy Award. I mean, it is the Emmy Award that you see all the movie stars will get. Where is your Emmy Award today? Do you know where it is?
I know exactly where it is. It got destroyed by the big move from America to Europe. It was in one of the packages and got squished, so it lost its wing and the whole globe on the top. And then one day I found the people from the Emmy people, whatever, and I go and explain them and I show them some pictures and I go, what can I do? I really like that thing. One of my nicest trophies because I think it's really, really nice. It's heavy too, it's a real thing. And then they say like, yeah, if you send the old one back and give us $480 or something and then pay all the shipping, we give you a new one. But you must send the old one back. You can't just have a broken one and a new one. And then I never bothered. It's just fuck. It's in the attic anyhow, I don't have a place to put it. It's in the Europe attic collection. And I have I think one in Moscow and one in Africa and yeah, probably in America too. However.
One thing that was extraordinary about the X Games was the live broadcasting. I mean, I feel like we're still not, the technology is still not really as good as it possibly could be for a clean stream. But in the early 90s, to be live streaming, these games out of the back of these casas, way ahead of its time.
Well, we all had huge antennas on our head. It was terrible. It was even an issue with the Cypress. We had to check with the frequencies from the antennas or whatever in the Cypress if there was no malfunction possibilities. Then they were standing with parabolic antennas on the ground and actually trying to get that beam or beam something up, which then reflects or something like this, It didn't work when there was clouds, and it didn't work when the jumper was too much offset and shit, It was not. It was a very expensive, not really very well working, and difficult to handle system. They gave it up. I think we had it for 2 or 3 years in the X Games. Maybe last time in California somewhere. Yeah, maybe in these modern days we can have smaller cameras and smaller transmitters and maybe even Starlink pads on ourselves or relay links, I think everything can be done better. But I also think that the hype in the world for the whole skydiving is over. Not over, but it's in every movie. Every cool movie has some skydive in there, And they don't even use the skydive anymore. They just all do computer animated now. It's not even real people anymore. Everyone is losing their job. It's like it's mudded out somehow. It's still cool. People love it. Love to be a skydiver. Everything's cool, but it's everywhere. So maybe not that much big investment in the future for us.
Do you feel, as you say, things have changed? Skydiving is more commercial. We have wind tunnels. It's more of a business than it used to be. And that's just life and evolution with the sport. And that's where it is. But do you miss those old days of,
yes,
of
absolutely,
it being so different?
But I can tell you also why. because when I started, say, like in the 80s, that's not even early in the skydiving. I guess the people started skydiving after the war or in the 60s or 70s, the first guys, the cool guys in Florida, Jerry Bird's group and stuff. They were all ex-military. They were really rebels. They were at a time when that was crazy to be young at that time. And they're the first ones who have military surplus parachutes and are crazy enough to jump out of fucking planes by themselves for no reason. That is so much emotion in that group of age, that generation, which I tapped in as a young one, while they were already older. I was the youngest kid on the floor, and I got to see that. That's why I'm saying, like, that's kind of last of Woodstock of what I know, because that's a different generation. And then the generation which kind of the Freefly or came after me, or Freefly started, or the tunnels, they don't have that. They're not the ex-military guys. They're not the bros. They're not the Marines. They're not the birds which came from the prison and shit, like the drug smugglers. There were a lot of drug smugglers at the time. We have a new generation of new kids, tunnel kids. They haven't even seen the sky. They don't know where to pull which stringy when there's a parachute, but they can fly super duper. That's a different mentality of a new generations. Like, I think sometimes skydiving is like 4 or 5 years. It's one generation. For whatever reason, I came up with that number. I don't remember, but either way, you never do it, or you do it once and then never again, or you become a AFF guy and then maybe you do the AFF and then never come back, and then maybe you can come back, but then life changes. You get a fucking girlfriend, you move your business or whatever, and then you stop skydiving. So if you 10 years in skydiving, then basically you have lived through 2 generations. You have seen another generation grow up, and 10 years is nothing. I've seen like almost 4 decades now. That's like 8 generations or whatever. Like the first people who I trained, they got the best of how I could train them. I copy pasted as much best into their brain as they allowed me. And whatever they're allowed to copy paste from themselves to others now is 8 generations of copy paste ago. I would imagine that the essence of swim in the ocean of gas and shit like that, it doesn't really come across unless you hear it from me. And it's also not important. You jump out and pull the string, and in between you free fly. What's the big deal? There's no art in swimming. There's no art in forward walking. There's nothing special to free fly in the future, and already now you can do it super beautiful, or with philosophy or not, or just do it. What's the big deal? And that's how I see it. Sometimes a little sad to have lost that spirit. Then again, that's how it goes. I guess things develop, and branch out and have kickbacks in some way different than you thought in the beginning.
In 1995, you and Patrick Degailledon jumped from the stratosphere from 41,667 feet.
I think
Can you share a story?
47, no? I always think 47,000 feet. Doesn't matter. It was pretty high. It was in the stratosphere.
It was pretty high.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
Everything, like the death zone, it's called like this. I think it starts above 7,000 meters. Most people, humans, cannot really survive without extra equipment above 7,000 meters, at least not for long, and for sure not everyone, And Mount Everest is about whatever, it's 9,000 meters, let's just say high, we jumped from 14-something thousand meters. This is absolutely the death zone. You cannot breathe up there. You will freeze your lungs. There's also nothing to breathe, because 80% of what we use to have around us, the air, which we're living in, imagine that would be the water the fish is in. Now 80% of the water is not there anymore. The fish doesn't know where to swim, in what to swim anymore, because he doesn't have 80% of water not to swim in. And that's kind of what the human being was exposed to, Patrick and me. We had counter-mechanical pressure suits which we made ourselves, which were kind of squeezing our body into shape, small, so we didn't expand too much, but they didn't have feet, hands, or nor head. So that was a really shitty spacesuit. And I am not surprised that no one since 1995, I believe that was, has ever done that again, because it was really, really stupid. I will never, ever do that like that again.
What was the motivation? Why did you all? I mean, that's probably a silly question. I mean, you all were pushing the limits. Where did this jump occur, and what did you jump from?
Okay. Well, first of all, the idea was Patrick as a stuntman for No Limits, a predecessor for like Red Bull kind of idea, with athletes, in conjunction with Sector watches, sport watches. He was an athlete for them, doing like jumping into a cave as a base jumper, doing the skydiving with the wingsuit or the sky surfing and stuff like that. He was like the flying guy for this group. And then his vision was like, I want to jump from the stratosphere as high as possible and hold my breath and then fly back to Earth and have no oxygen. Then he comes to me and says, like, Olav, I know you can fly really super duper fast, maximum 1,000,000 human speed, blah, 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 whatever, Can you teach me this head down stuff, And then maybe film me doing my attempt. You can have oxygen, you will have the best equipment we can find, but I will hold my breath, he says. So that's basically what we trained for almost, I would say, close to 2 years. We had different training camps where I teach him to go head down and hold his stable position in such way. Because obviously when he jumps from 14,000 meters to reach 7,000 meters, that takes quite a while. He needs to hold his breath for 1.5 minutes or something like that. We didn't quite know how fast we were going to go. But a minute and a half was minimum at speeds of 750 kilometers per hour up in the stratosphere, going absolutely straight head down without a wobble, because every wobble would have made the journey longer. The goal was to jump from the highest possible and reach below Mount Everest the quickest possible, and then take the first breath, and survive.
Well, this as you're explaining it, like I knew about this, but as you're explaining, this sounds insane. This sounds crazy.
Totally. No one has done this again, and I would never do this again. That's why I have many years, for decades now, envisioned new spacesuits and have trained in different spacesuits, and I've learned a lot about spacesuits. No one should do this like we did. It's absolutely deadly to stand on Mount Everest and have a no pressure suit. And the higher you go, we have 80% of all the water which the fish normally swims in, we didn't have. We were the fish with no 80% of water, and we had ski goggles, brand new ski goggles, I have to say. No scratch, no nothing. Fucking awesome, brand new ski goggles, golden, And you could see through the stratosphere in 80% of nothing. It's like you give a kid, which got born blind, sort of, glasses when he's 5, The kid's gonna go like, whoa, what the hell? There's a tree. There's a bird in the tree. You can see forever, It becomes dark above you. During the day, you can see the stars blinking. And down the clouds and the earth is just fucking far away. It's a real difference.
What aircraft did you jump from, and where did you make this jump?
Okay, it was a good time we chose, because the Soviet Union, I think 92, 93 or whatever, they changed to Russia, right? There was this big thing. So there was no military really working in Russia. Everything was super confusing. All aircrafts were standing on some fucking airport with lots of snow on top of them. Then the pilots never flew, no one was trained, the mechanics never searched and repaired the airplanes. Nothing was working, But we came there with 10 people and a whole handful of $100 bills. It was a lot of money. And then we found the general of this airport. And then we said, like, where's your biggest aircraft? And then he pointed at the Illusion 76. And then we go like, oh, cool. Yeah, it has like 4 big jets. It has a big cargo area. You can put tanks and stuff like this in there, And we only have 2 people which we need to carry up. The idea was like, we take the biggest, fattest plane, the craziest crew which wants to do it, give the general some money, and then the 2 people basically sit in this aviation dolphin, which just jumps and flies as fast as possible in the troposphere, there where the planes fly, and then jumps out of the water into the stratosphere. And on the very top where the dolphin would fall back into the water, the plan was we jump out of the plane, because the plane cannot fly up there. There's no air. but it had this 28,000 horsepower for two people, and we just jumped out of the troposphere and basically exited the aircraft on top of the parabol, where it was on the top. That was the plan. Yeah, it was terrible, man.
The more you explain, the more crazy this story gets. It was a pressurized cabin, so you all were breathing oxygen on the way to altitude. That had to have been the case.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a special plane because the front whole cockpit is like 17 people we had in the front cockpit, where the pilots are and the engineers and whatever crew from the Russians, and then the press people and the general and his son and I don't know whoever was in the front. We never saw those people. And then Patrick and me in the back. And this huge fucking area was also pressurized, but they could depressurize it independently from the front part. That was the idea. We fly as fast as possible up. We were pre-breathing oxygen on the ground, did all this, whatever the doctors were telling us. We prepared ourselves very well. We had anti-gas pills for many days before, so we don't have any farts in our belly, or burping, no gases. We prepared quite well, but really stupid. Anyhow, and then the door was then decompressed in the back, and that was by far too quick than we were planning. It was in less than a minute from like full altitude, full pressure, normal human being, to like 5 kilometers above Mount Everest. Oh man, like the blood didn't circulate anymore. It was tough to be a little dizzy. The numbness in the hands and feet. The head got bigger in the small helmet, and it became like sort of like a thumb screw. It was terrible. I might exaggerate a little bit, but it was definitely. I could feel this is deadly. That you don't do that very long. And then I was the one who spotted because I had my oxygen and my mask and everything. I was fully equipped, right? I was the assistant and cameraman of Patrick, making sure he stays in the head down in the two-way, so he doesn't black out or accidentally takes a breath or freaks or I don't know what, and then film him with the super wide angle thing. Yeah, so then I was spotting also, so I went out to that ramp with the four jets next to me making super duper jet streams, and I could see the curls in slow motion like Fly Chi looking in between the seconds. Wow, man, it's slow motion, like tripping. Those fucking things just appeared behind those jets. Crazy. And then the curve of the earth, and then the darkness, super duper purple dark above, during the day. All Russia was complete snowed in. It was sunset, or was like whatever it was. The sun was low. It was golden light. It was beautiful. Yeah, and then at one point I couldn't handle it anymore. It didn't even see the military airport. And they opened the ramp too early, and I don't know what, things didn't go as planned. And the strangeness with the feeling in the body was not only me, but Patrick had to battle too, The longer we wait, the more difficult it would have been for him to hold his breath and stay in control, and not freak out or whatever. Yeah, we boarded. We didn't wait for the green light. Never saw the fucking military airport. We just jumped out in control, like we planned together with many years of training, and then, we flew super fast, but it didn't feel very fast because there's no air, If there's no air, then you don't have more pressure. The pressure basically stayed the same like every normal jump. It's just going like 750 kilometers, like Mach 7.5 or I don't know what, however fast, it's like an airliner fast, super fast. We had special cypresses, we had special altimeters, we had special jitters with beeping and sounds and this and that. The idea was to go as fast as possible without any wobble or any difficulties in the most stable but fast way past Mount Everest, sort of to 7,000-meter altitude. And then Patrick was supposed to take his first breath slowly, to not freeze his lungs and whatever.
This is crazy. When you both land, are you all like, "Oh, that was crazy. We are lucky to be alive"?
Totally.
Or were you all like, no, that was amazing, that was worth it? What was the mentality?
No. I knew on the way up that is crazy. And definitely standing on the door, but then what you do, you're already there. So we aborted the whole whatever had to come after. I said, like, we go. Patrick, you want to come? I'm fucking dying, I'm out of here, let's go. And then we did go. And we landed in the deep snow, and then the helicopter came and picked us up somehow, 15 minutes later, somehow out of the white Russia. My suit was not overlapping perfect, so I had a tiny little hole here, wherever here, where you normally would have a necklace. And then a little air pocket was building in the 750 kilometers of wind pressure, whatever, And I had third-degree burns. It looked like I had a necklace on, but it was deep, fleshy burn, but very tiny, only like a line, Like I got hung or drove with the motorcycle through a fence or something.
Olav, that is the ultimate no shit, there I was story I've ever heard.
My space car. I was cherishing it. It's gone now. Cool.
That is unbelievable.
Look, man, it's about this. It's a Freefly Astronaut project, the one you haven't seen yet. It's all about. I originally had it in the book, which I brought to the Hall of Fame, right? But then it became so big by itself, and I go like, I'll make another book out of it. And I got some interviews. I got the mechanics. I got the engineer. I got the doctor view, the president of the Russian space suit company. It's going to be a cool book too.
Oh, that would be an amazing read. Olav, how old are you now?
I'm 58.
You're not slowing down. What is occupying your mind right now? What are you working on?
For me, life is a walkabout, I had my first walkabout. My parents made me, 20 years. I made to school, did everything they said. It was basically the first walkabout. And then I took my life in my own hand. I made another walkabout all the way around the world, opening up the Freefly schools, come up with Freefly and try to promote it, do the best I can with the fashion shows, the photos and the movies and whatever comes along, Now this is my third walkabout now. I've done with, I'm not done with the skydiving or not the Freefly, not at all, or the school making. It's been done already. I like new shit. I like to create new stuff. That's why I had many schools in different countries, because I like to open one and build it. That's part of the reason why I'm in Asia, because there's not much Freefly here yet in Asia, and my skill, the only skill I really know, is me flying and teaching. Now maybe I find another country where that might be useful, But it also gives me time here, beautiful beaches, little boats, swimming with the coral reef and the islands, no people, and I write my books now. That's my third walkabout.
This podcast is sponsored by Beyond Marketing, the digital marketing agency for the skydiving industry. Now, I'm not a fan of lots of ads during a podcast. I mean, who likes ads? So I'll stop talking about how marvelously wonderful Beyond Marketing is. But if you're curious about what the amazing people of Beyond Marketing do to help drop zones and manufacturers thrive, then you should check out their website at dropzone.marketing. That's dropzone.marketing. For those listening, you're currently based in Thailand.
Yes, right on the water, kind of. The water is like a kilometer away. And I have 15 islands with coral beaches and coral reefs, and the airplane is flying over all of them. And I don't have many students yet, but we also have only one little plane, Second plane is coming. I hope next year my Freefly school will be up to like 300-400 jumps per year. And that will be fine for me,
It's like you're the father of Freefly, you're the Pied Piper of Freefly. You just want to bring people into this very cool world.
Yeah, but look, if you would be the guy who thinks at least from himself that there might be 100 billion people ever have lived. That includes the Neanderthal and the 200,000-year-old Lucy, whatever, That's not many generations. We are one of them. And we are the first. And I am the first one, I think at least, who ended up thinking like this. I swim in the ocean of gas. I'm the first human who swims in the ocean of gas. What an opportunity. I cannot miss that. No matter what I really want myself, I should not have, because that's the bigger goal, to just bring that knowledge across, and people can listen or not, or like it or not. But I think humans know now how to swim in the ocean of gas, and that's a fantastic thing. Everyone should know that's possible. They shouldn't all do it, but they should all know that there's a piano, and piano sound is nice, and they all should all know that people can fly through the ocean of gas, and that is nice too. That's that's my goal. That's my gift to mankind.
There have been many people who have enjoyed your gift.
Thank you. Yes, I think so. Me too. I still enjoy it. I enjoy that they enjoy it, because they inspire me to do more. And I get the feedback, like when you're a tandem master and you have a super duper tandem client. You're a happy tandem master because you know that person has a life moment and is going to be beautiful. And for me, I have students which come 50, 100 times or hundreds of times and fly with me, and I see them grow like little kids who start walking and dancing and swimming, and in the end, they're free flies through the sky. And yeah, I don't have kids myself, but mentally, or free fly my mind, likewise, by duplication that way, I have many, many thousands of kids, and I'm happy about that.
You have many, many thousands of kids. You've inspired generations of skydivers. The skydives that we see today of, these incredible head-down formations all can be traced back to this young German guy in Zephyr Hills, Florida, chasing his shadow, chasing rainbows because you were curious to do so. And now, 4 decades later, you're inducted into the Hall of Fame. Amazing achievement. What does it mean to you?
Honestly, I didn't really know what it meant to me when I got to know this, maybe 7 months, 8 months ago. Came a letter. Do you want to be part of that or something like this? And I go, what is that? And I didn't quite get it. I thought like, was aviation museum, super cool. I didn't know that there was a skydiving museum and things like this so much. I knew about it, but not how important it might be. Even in my life. And then I looked it up of who is in this list of people, and then there's about 100 people or 95 people or something in there, and most of them are dead. And they're starting from 1700 something, jumping out of a balloon, and the first skydiver. And then it dawned me, this is better than an aviation museum. Because the aviation museum, which most people think about, started in 1910 with the Wright brothers, Plane, 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 plane. And those fucking things don't even fly. It's like a boat. They swim. People don't swim when they sit in a plane, Pure human flight has been inducted into the Hall of Fame in the class of 2024, I think. And that is beautiful, because I'm totally supporting and promoting that idea. People can not only fall through the sky and pull the stringies and then eventually have a parachute they can land with and maybe do some sports in between. No, they can actually fly anywhere they like to, up to the maximum envelope of what your human structure, biomechanical flex swing can offer you. It's like a marathon runner. Whoever is faster should win. The better human flyer now can win. It's not falling pretty. No, it's flying badass.
It's cool that some of your colleagues in the Hall of Fame, people like John DeVore, one of your children, Omar Al-Hejalan,
Yes.
Freefly Clown number 3.
Yes.
The legacy of you is also in the Hall of Fame. It's the greatest gift. I want to end our interview with a quote that you said a few years ago that I think is a lot to learn from in society today and defines you quite well. And it was about money. You said, I need the dollar to survive, but I don't care about the dollar to survive as a retired person. I think that's all bullshit. One should not wait to live. And I love that. One should not wait to live. I feel like you are the personification of that.
I think that everyone is being trained through the schooling system in whatever country, but worldwide since generations. They are trained to perform, to make more money, to have whatever, to be part of the society and feed the system, These times are over. Today, people are dreamers. They're space-time designers themselves. Every little kid today with a telephone is smarter than Einstein and any academic house altogether. They just need to look it up. There's no more hiding. There's no more need to follow the original ideas of how to keep the system alive. Let's make a new system, Freefly Your Mind, and think everything over again by yourself. Take your own responsibility and reimagine everything again. Why not? You're one of billions of people these days, and we all have that power, and why not use this? I found that power when I was a young kid because my parents kind of trained me like this, I believe everyone can have dreams and make them happen, become their own space-time designer. However funny that word might sound, it's actually true. You can imagine the future and then have that, And then when you find something which you love, no matter what it is, for me it was flying, but whoever finds something in life, whatever they love, then pursue it. And it's more important to live the time you have been given on Earth to live than the money you can possibly make. The money goes and is useless, basically. But the time you lived and you collected your adventures, they make you smarter, wiser, and nicer, and hopefully the essence of that you can take into the afterlife. And then that's the gold you take with you, is the dreams which you have lived and experienced in this world. It's all a petri dish. After all, it's all a simulation, So don't take everything this serious and just go for it.
The life advice in that closing minute is astounding. Olav, what a perfect spot to end. Thank you, my friend. Such an honor.
Always really, really nice talking to you. Thank you very much. It's super kind the way you ask the questions and lead the conversation. Super duper. We do it again one day when I have a new project.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, please tell us about how we can buy your book.
In the moment, I'm super unorganized, but I only have limited editions for sale anyway. They're quite expensive. They only cost $100 and plus the shipping. That way you make me some extra, but you want to help me. I know whoever wants to buy a book of me and feels and learns about my life philosophy and flying techniques, they want to help me. You find me on Facebook and I send you a QR code and then you pay and I send it to you. That's basically the advice everyone have. Soon I have 3 different kinds in 2 different languages. I'm almost working on finished with the German version. We have the instruction book, the Freefly Aviation, AFF 2.0, for free-fly ambitious learning people. We have the novel, The Last Barnstormer, which explains of how I build my plane and fly around the world and build the different schools and make my philosophies. And then soon we have the Freefly Astronaut project, which explains of what we talked about in detail today, the flight with Patrick de Gaillardong in 1995, Russia.
Amazing. Thank you again, my friend. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. All the best to all of you out there. Freefly Your Mind. Ciao.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the 20-Minute Call podcast. Please do follow us on your podcast app so you always have the latest episode, which is released every Monday. If you want to contact the team, our email address is podcast@beyondmarketing.xyz. This episode was edited and engineered by Garnet Znydrick of the YouTube channel Blue Skies Fun Days. Thanks for listening and join us next week for our next episode.